a call of fatherhood. My review: desire to be a father. Becoming a father is a epic in a man's life and a major developing point in his life where he has many things, partners and great influence. But for that man, the desire for him is to pass on information and DNA from his father or his grandfather before him to transfer it down to the next generation. And this would be the learning of fatherhood and will be added to his children, helping them when they are ready to become adults. And the start of fatherhood is the role of the partner that is in this man's life as he goes through this new desire to be a father. His partner, trusted partner, can communicate with him. They can communicate together through and go through their feelings and checking their hearts and their desires, to making sure that there's something that together they want to do to bring a child into the world. And that partner is a very important part in this process. Now, becoming a father, the role of the father's role is to play in this child's life is to build them up to greatness. Or that same father can destroy their lives by his actions. But for a good father, to want to be a father, he must become a servant to his household. He has to watch out and protect them. Again, and this goes beyond just paying bills and the typical things that we hear in society that men are supposed to do. But this man has to have a plan year before the children coming to the world, and he has to prepare for even up and beyond his death. Because these are parts of being the role of the father. The father's love and his wound. Now, for this father, if he has a daughter, then he will understand that she requires entirely different things than he would if he have a male child or son. And so he understands that this part of his life with his daughter is crucial to the development of his little girl and to becoming an adult. This man has to be careful not to wound his daughter, and so he will make mistakes or he'll make bad choices that will, wound her. But if he can correct it fast enough, then it won't give her any long-term effects. But if it's a wound that's really deep or one that is not fixed, then that father will feel like will be something close to abandonment for his little girl, and then that will affect her the rest of her life, and it could lead, if not eventually taken care of as an adult, then she could carry that with her the rest of her life, and it will affect every situation and thing that she has that's done in her life because of those father wounds. Now, beloved step children, Now, there are some men that are not able to have children biologically, and so they have options such as adoption, wards, but the main, more common one is being a stepfather. Now, being a stepfather is, is important to not only for the man wants to be a father, but also for those children, because the way the father steps up and shows up in these children's lives will either help them or also push them away as if he were his own blood. And so this man has to take care of his the way he handles things, the way he sees these children, which is more of a challenge than it would if he had his own children. Because with these children usually come from homes to where the mother and the father are not the best of terms, and if they are where they have kind of a mutual agreement that these children will still be kind of pushed back and forth, and then you as the father will be coming in. You kind of the children may you have to build up a rapport and a love for these children, but you will have to do this taking your time, building those bonds with them. Start with the friendship, caring for them, loving them as if they were biologically your own, showing them that you do love and care for them. And especially when it comes down to their daughters, because the same thing there, because she has her biological father, but you being a stepfather, there will kind of be more will be you be more closer because you're closer to that daughter. And if the things you do to either to push her further away, especially if it's from her, she gets wounds from her father, and gets more from you, then she's getting kind of a double hit of these types of things of abandonment, just not being heard, not being understood, especially with communicating with her. It's vital. But if you, as the man that wants to be the stepfather, you can look through these things and understand the value that you have because of the love that you have for their mother, also that you can pass down to those children, you'll be able to fill in that gap and that hole that she has between her biological father and yourself, depending how much time you spend with them. But it's still vitally important that you trust, building that trust with that daughter, with the daughter. It's vital to not take it and go in any other way that is inappropriate. And I'll leave that one there. And then buyer beware. And in this process of becoming a stepfather, there are going to be a lot of obstacles that are going to come in the way. They're going to be, because you're going to be in between the biological father and their mother. Sometimes you'll feel like you're just in the way. You're fifth wheel. There are times where children may not necessarily like you up front, or they may be on with the other parent may kind of put things in their eyes, get things in their hearts to where they will kind of go against you. But this is where you have to always take the high road, and you still show love and care for these children, especially with their mother, and try to be respectful as you can when you're talking about their relationship with their father. You do not want to be in making more issues and problems for these types of situations for being a father. Now research methods were done by using the qualitative data analysis, and by doing and finding new research on different scholars and reviews through journals. I was able to narrow down, the thing that I wanted to talk about was going with fatherhood was going through the Taylor and Francis website, where I went and found the proper information and ebooks that were great for me to help me understand more about the role of fatherhood and the things and issues that could arise from being with that, being a stepfather or just being married, knowing that things that would have to change in a man's life and to become that father. And then also I did looked into things such as, did more knowledge, more research, and look at different books and theories and information akin to fatherhood, and then use those and look at other areas of psychology to get a broader, view of these things that a man may go through, the good and the bad. And then what my findings in this is that there are a lot of men that do want to be fathers, both biologically having children, and then there's some men also that want to be there because they either can't have children, or there was a point where, like my grandfather was, where he took in Mr. Harris took in my grandfather and his brother and raised them as his own, and he took something he took on himself, the responsibilities of that. And this is one of the things that with fatherhood is that it's something that a man can give beyond himself, where he puts himself in a place to where he's a servant to helping, help the next generation of young men and young women to become, better for their future. And in this, to become that great father, he understands his love and care he has for his partner, knowing that they are a vital part of his decision to be that father. Now, if you are a stepfather, then this is slightly different, but he understands that he's there to work with this partner, as the mother of these children, to be able to help support them and be, strength for her as well, helping her go through whatever other situations she has, especially the thing with the divorce, or she never was married but has, we say call baby daddy drama, that you'll be able to be supportive of her, and that will help you bind closer together. And lastly, this is a thing that a lot of men that want to be able to have a life where they can help, they want to have children, because it's just something that they like about being able to have children, where you can, raise them up, help them, teach them skills and teach them things that you've learned over the years, or things that you've seen and you want to try and say, this worked in my relationship with my children. So these findings are, it's not an exhaustive thing, but there's many ways. But there's more men out there that want to have, want to be fathers, than are not wanting to be fathers. Now, the limitations, excuse me, for this were there are a lot of different studies, and some were more biased more than other were, especially ones that we'll just say more of a, I'll use the word, more like a red pill area that says no, that being a father is another way for women to make, get money from men, or, step parenting, that's bad because you lose your freedoms and so forth. And which is one of they show bias in that, but then there's flaws in a lot of the way that people were gathering information. Again, so they were just like, shortcutting things and writing off things that were important, but they kind of left them out, like the things with a man and his daughter or stepdaughters, and how these things again tend to be extreme. Some get extreme too far one way. That there's because there were bad situations where stepfathers did wrong things to children, but that's not all, and but they kind of push everything that way and explain so they make their way looking that way, and then again we have small sample sizes of even with their data, the same thing where the size was small because what I had was not that was a really really small sample size of the things that I've done. But with this, I understand there could be, with more time and more research, especially a couple of months, maybe even a year, you can gather more information. I put it all together, and then in this, you will be able to get a better look at the proper way of, men wanting to become fathers, being step parents, and then also caring for the love of their daughter or their stepdaughters. But I could also add in some interviews and things of that nature as well. But all this data can be added into with what's already being out there and new studies that are being done right now to show the importance of being a father for children and even stepchildren. And I'm looking very forward to doing more research into that. Now, for my conclusion, again, we understand that one of the greatest things for a man in the world, if available, is to pass on his DNA to his sons and even partially to his daughters, because this is something that's intrinsic and unique for every man across the world. And so it's something that is, a desire for many men. And in this, he understands that he transitions from singlehood into becoming a, father. He understands that the ones that truly understand it, they understand that now their lives are, now focused on, protecting, preparing, guiding, loving, and giving structure in those children's lives. And he understands that him and his spouse or his partner, they have to kind of work together. They have to again communicate clearly with each other, and understand that it's about the children now. It's not about egos and their own self dealings. It's about them help together working to give these children the best opportunities and the best way to have enjoyable life. Then with the fathers, again, one of his greatest challenges is the raising of his daughter or daughters, knowing that the value that he brings into his little girl's life will set her up for a great future, or he can wound her to a point to where she would have so many issues that it's hard to come back from. And there are studies on these women that have got wounds from their fathers, and it's a sad thing to even to think about. But as a father, he needs to understand this from the very beginning, that you have to be careful, and your communication got to be clear. And if you don't know, ask, talk, communicate with her about even the smallest, simplest things can help her in her future. And then we have with the men that are not biological to have children or have them that choose that direction, that there will be a place in this world for stepfathers. If again, with the same thing, you have to approach it the right way, and you have that care, love, affection, and even maybe even a deeper clarity on your purpose that you see in their lives, because these ones are easier to be hurt and easier to be abandoned by emotionally or even physically by you if you do the wrong things. And this is my reference, and this study was really good, and I enjoyed it, and I want to do more in the future about this topic